All right, Juice, we're back for another topic.
Woohoo!
In the break, we were talking about the 80s.
Yes.
80s were probably the best time of my life. I don't know. I've had some great times with my wife and children, but I'm talking about as a kid in the 80s.
Oh, as a kid? Yeah. Prior to going in the military?
Mm-hmm. Kid in the 80s, man.
That was awesome back then.
You know, I see kids on social media talking about Army and Marine basic training, how hard it was and stuff.
Yeah.
I think if you're raised in the 80s, you're prepping for basic training.
In my house, you were.
In my house, too. But also for just a career in general. For my parents rarely knew where I was in the summertime.
Yeah. It was get up early when the sun comes out and come back when the street light comes on. You better be in that front yard.
So I grew up in the sticks. We didn't have street lights, but I was usually spending the night with somebody, or they were in my house or something. You know, we were never just. I was the only kid, so I hung out with a lot of other dudes. You know, I didn't have brothers and sisters to hang out with, but we would stay going fishing for days.
Yeah,
we just camp out there.
Yeah,
know? I'm more of a country kid than you were growing up. But,
oh yeah,
but
I don't live in a big area like L.A.
It was more of a suburb type deal, right?
A coal mine region.
Yeah, is coal mine still there? They still got it. Still big employer.
Yeah,
you didn't want to make that a career?
No.
Why not?
No, why would I want to make? I hated my hometown. I still don't like my hometown.
You could be a machinist at a coal mine, right? For the company.
You can be a repair machinist
because they got a lot of equipment going in and out of there. So
they do a lot of repairs on breakers and everything else.
You're right, but anyway, I think that independence that we had prepared you for a career in general. You know, we got stuff done as children. You know, also in the summer I had chores.
Oh yeah.
So my dad would put them up. He'd write them down. Hey, these are the chores I need done by Friday. And if they weren't done, there was no grounding. There was no, I'm taking something from you. You got hotel tore up.
Yeah. there was no stand in the corner and think about what you did.
You got some stripes on them legs.
Yeah. And at like 3 a.m. when he gets home from work and sees that you didn't do it.
So he worked during the day, but at night he would hunt me down. He would hunt me down if I was out at my buddy's house, get me out in the yard, give me the whooping.
Oh yeah.
And then let me go back in. Like, okay, see you.
Yeah. He made sure there was an audience.
Yeah. And I'd go in crying. They're like, what happened? I got to whoop it into your yard.
Yeah. Okay.
And also the other parents would whoop you too.
Oh, yeah.
Henrietta,
and then they'd call mom and dad and you go home and you get another one.
Henrietta Williams, my buddy Wade's mom would line us up and tear us up, son, over at their house. She didn't put up with no back talking. If she told you to go do something once, that was it. There was no warning. Hey, I'm going to whip you. Or anything. It was straight to the belt or the hickory, whatever she had in her hand. But she was rough.
My dad was like, growing up with him was like growing up with Arlie Ermy in the house.
Arlie Ermy.
Yeah.
Did he walk around saying funny stuff?
Oh, yeah. Hysterical. My dad was funny as can be. Till he got mad.
Then
it was not funny anymore.
But he didn't hold a grudge, though.
No.
My dad didn't either. He'd get mad at you, punish you, and that was it.
Yeah. Then it was over.
Then we go watch football or something, whatever. But I'm trying to get this auto switch to work, Juice. But let's get to our topic here. People can get bored talking about the 80s and getting whippings and stuff.
We're not even talking about the big hair or the good music.
Yeah. We didn't even get to why we brought that up. But
yeah, I know.
Watching Stranger Things with my daughter, and she loves it. But anyway, stand your ground. We're going to talk about Alabama. I don't know much about the laws in other states, but I know the Southeastern Conference, we call it. The Southeast is pretty similar in all states. But I'll just read the stand your ground law. And then we're going to talk about a specific case that just got a hung jury, right?
Yes.
Mistrial. All right. So it's Alabama Code Title 13A. I cannot talk. Criminal Code Section 13A 3-23. Use of force in defense of a person. A person is justified in using physical force upon another person in order to defend himself or herself or a third person from what he or she reasonably believes. That's a key word, right? Reasonably.
Yep.
Believes to be the use of imminent use of lawful physical force by that other person, and he or she may use a degree of force in which he or she reasonably believes necessary for the person. Purpose. Man, I should have got you to read this, Juice.
You don't want that.
Okay.
I'm old.
A person may use deadly physical force and is legally presumed to be justified in using deadly physical force in self-defense or defense of another person pursuant to subdivision 5 if the person reasonably believes that the other person is using or about to use unlawful deadly physical force using or about to use physical force against an occupant of a dwelling while committing or attempting to commit a burglary. Thank you, sir. Of such dwelling, committing or about to commit a kidnapping in any degree, assault in the first or second degree, say it.
Burglary.
Yes. In any degree, robbery in any degree, forcible rape, or forcible sodomy. Okay. Using or about to use physical force against an owner, employee, or another person authorized to be on business property when the business is closed to the public while committing or attempting to commit a crime involving death, serious physical injury, robbery, kidnapping, rape, sodomy, or a crime of sexual nature involving a child under the age of 12. So it's pretty serious.
Absolutely.
Right? So you do have the right to self-defense. You always did. They just put it in a code. They wrote it down, right?
Right. Self-defense and defense of others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if Jus is attacking me right now, I can pull out a pistol, knife, use my karate hands.
Right.
My knife hands. And my knife hands, Jus.
CMC outlawed knife hands.
My mic. CNC did?
Yeah, CMC.
CMC. What is that?
Commandant of the Marine Corps.
I thought they brought them back.
I haven't seen them.
Knife hands. If you don't know what knife hands are.
I love knife hands.
This is a knife hand. When you're talking to somebody and you give them the old knife hand. But anyways, if I can use my hands, weapons, whatever to defend myself.
Right.
Now, once you are neutralized, no longer attacking me, can I keep going?
No.
That's where it stops, right? That's where these all get fuzzy.
If you stop the attack, you don't have to pull a John Wick with a pencil.
Right.
If you stop the attacker, that's where you stop.
Mm-hmm. Now, you can still hold security and be alert. And if they come back,
absolutely,
you get the same rules apply.
Absolutely. But you can't stalk somebody down and shoot them once, neutralize them or stop them, and then continue.
Here's the problem, too. So you and I have been in police and military where we talked about this daily. Before we left on patrol, we read something similar to this right here.
Oh, yeah.
ROE, rules of engagement.
Yep.
And it was very similar, some similar verbiage in there. And we read it. And we thought about it. We did some training scenarios with it. We got to act it out in real life sometimes, unfortunately. Your average Joe, how many people have been in the military or the police in the United States?
I don't know.
Less than 1%.
Yes.
So the other 99% never had that training.
Right.
And they're expected to know this right here. When somebody's coming up on their porch, breaking down their back door, they're expected to know this rule right here.
Now, when I taught concealed weapons carry in a couple of different states, that was always in the packet, and we always read it at the beginning of class. But other than that, that was it. Right. And most people didn't listen to it. Yeah, most people didn't. Now, we took it seriously when I was with the State Department because we had some incidents. I don't know if you remember when it was Blackwater. I worked for Blackwater in Iraq, and we had the Nasir Square incident. Right.
All right. That was an incident. Those guys got exonerated, I believe, by Trump in his first term. But that was an incident where there was shots fired, but the return fire was excessive. Does that make sense to you? All right. I'm not here to blame anybody or armchair quarterback anybody.
Right.
There were some serious problems with the investigation. I don't know if you've ever read about it or not.
I read a little bit about it.
CID and the FBI, there was some awful. We actually transported the FBI, my team did, around while they investigated this thing. All right. And I heard it out of their mouths in the car. These guys were justified in what they did. All right. You have to look at the whole circumstance. Just the day before, right at that area, there was a huge gunfight. Okay? Right. And these guys were placed there. So tensions were high. There was an imminent threat in the area. So the FBI put that in the account and said, yeah, these guys were justified in what they did.
That would be the totality of the circumstances.
Totality of the circumstances. That's right out of off the card, ain't it? Juice?
It is.
The little laminated card you carry in your pocket. Now, the CID guy, the colonel, I'm not going to say names, he said that they were not justified. So we're split 50-50 on the two investigating bodies. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I have a hard time believing the colonel.
Yep. Now, but what they got him on, what they went to jail for, was the excessive force, not the gunfight. All right. They were justified in returning fire. They just unleashed all their machine guns, everything they had on that square, killed some civilians, unfortunately, with everything they had. So
I can understand it. I don't condone shooting anybody. unless you're threatened. Obviously, millions lost their lives in this, but I don't think they got together and said, "Hey, we're all going to squeeze the triggers at the same press the triggers at the same time and see how many rounds we can dump."
We're going to go out and murder some civilians today.
Once that happens, once you come under fire and your reaction takes over, your skill and training takes over, it's not like one person does it. Everybody's involved.
Right.
So were they excessive? I don't know. I wasn't there.
But it's a similar stand your ground type scenario, just in a combat zone. We dealt with it, right? You got the Trayvon Martin. What do you know about that one?
Oh, Sanford, Florida.
You were living down there when that was going on, right?
Yeah. I still have an issue with that one.
Was Zimmerman justified? What do you think?
In my opinion, no, he wasn't.
Okay.
He could have disengaged. He was a security officer. All he had to do was disengage, call local law enforcement, let them come on property and deal with the guy.
Right.
Instead, he decided to act like law enforcement.
So Martin was trespassing, right?
He was.
But he wasn't stealing anything or making threats. But Zimmerman said, "Hey, stop. And he didn't stop. And
he doesn't have to stop.
No. If somebody came on my property, we're just sitting here, somebody walked across my yard. Can I walk out and shoot him?
No.
That's kind of what happened, right?
Yeah, that's, in my opinion, that's exactly what happened.
But now, if he tries to bust through a window,
that's a little different.
I can restrain him.
But I think Zimmerman overreached on what his actual responsibilities were.
Right.
Grossly overreached.
They had some investigative issues in that one too. I think that's why he got off. But
correct.
And he had a great lawyer. I know that.
Yes, he did.
But yeah, a lot of people here, they put up signs in their yard that says, "Come on my yard. I got 38 special for you." Or, the Python's waiting. Or all
protected by Smith & Wesson.
Protected by the Constitution. You name it. Whatever. Yeah. You can't just shoot people for walking in your yard.
Nope.
Now you can ask them to leave. Now, if they start committing a crime, that's when you call police and all that. Now, if they are coming on your property, trespassing, you can call police, get them to investigate it, and they'll go talk to them and say, "Hey, don't go on the property anymore."
Right.
Now, if they come and try to grab your kid,
I'm ventilating.
Yeah, we're going to get busy. I'm going to test out my shooting skills.
Yes.
Because you got to shoot around it. You got to don't hit the kid.
Right. Well, yeah. I don't want to hit my kid.
Maybe just in the arm if that's what it takes.
My whole thing is if they're out there damaging your property and not you, just call the cops.
Now, what if they come on my property and are damaging trees? Something like that. I
don't really care.
Are we going to ventilate them?
It's wood.
We're not going to ventilate them, right?
No, it'll grow back.
We've had incidences in this area over the last 40 years where people have gotten in physical altercations over trees. I get if you're a farmer, that's your livelihood, and somebody's trying to steal them or whatever. You can't kill people over inanimate objects.
No, you cannot.
You can't kill people over dogs.
In my opinion, if there's a forcible felony taking place, kidnapping, rape, something like that.
The things they talked about, rape, sodomy,
then you have a right to defend yourself and stop that threat. I don't care if they're stealing your car, in my opinion. Let them go. We'll get them later.
Let me ask you this. So my background, what if somebody's breaking in my home and I'm home by myself? Can I just shoot them through the door?
With your background?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I don't think so.
No.
What if my daughter is in the house, 14-year-old, and they're trying to break in the home?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It ramps it up a little bit, right?
Yeah,
the totality of the circumstances says they may be coming to rape her or kidnap her, right?
Right.
If it's just me, though, we're going to try to disengage as best we can.
Yeah.
If somebody's breaking down my door, though, there's going to be a serious talk going on.
Yeah. Somebody's going to get lead poisoned.
I want to have 911 and put it on speaker and just let them hear the whole thing. So
but that's another thing, though. You just said with your background. I know your background. I know your training. Some people, it's easier to understand why they do it versus somebody like you doing it.
What if Joe Accountant has never been in a fist fight and somebody's breaking in his home like that?
Absolutely.
I'd say, Joe, you're justified.
Yep.
Juice, not. All right.
And I agree with that.
You should have tried to de-escalate first. And that's what a judge is going to say too, or a jury.
But that's where a person with your training, skills, background, education, all that comes into play as soon as you hit the courtroom.
Right.
So for us to somebody start banging on your door and you ventilate them, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, because a prosecutor is going to be like, hey, they should have known better.
Yeah.
And
their training, their experience. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We'll talk about this one specifically in Alabama, right? That just got a mistrial. Hey, everybody, Macky here. I just want to get into what we actually do here at Macky Outlaw Private Investigators. So we conduct domestic investigations, which includes your adultery and custody cases. You may have a cheating spouse that you're wanting to find out, or you may have shared custody and you're wanting to find out what the other parents are doing, maybe prove that they're not good parents for a custody modification. Also, what we do is criminal defense investigations. That's where people get in trouble and they need help proving their innocence. It could be either pre-conviction or post-conviction. So if you know people in those situations, just give us a ring. Also, we work missing person cases. That's where we track down people that are missing. It can be children, teenagers, all the way to senior adults. So if you have a case like that, how we work those cases is we use surveillance. We locate and find witnesses and interview them. Also conduct digital forensics where we extract deleted data and locate those digital artifacts to help your case. If you need those types of investigations done, you can always click the link and contact us. You can call us directly at 866-910-7499. That's 866-910-7499. Or visit us on the web at mackyoutlaw.com. Thank y'all. All right, we're recording. We're talking about, we're talking about staying your ground. And we got a case that just happened here nearby us, all right, where I'll just read it from AL.com. It says, mistrial declared in murder case of Alabama man who claimed he shot neighbor in self-defense. And this was written March 11th, so we're just a week away from this, pretty much. Right. A mistrial was declared Tuesday in the murder case of a North Alabama man who claimed he fatally shot his neighbor in self-defense 2 years ago. Keith Sullivan, I cannot read today. I don't know what's going on.
You want to borrow my old man glasses?
I keep having seizures. I can see. I just getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
So, Keith Sullivan, 53 of Grove Oak, was indicted on murder charges by the DeKalb County Grand Jury in February 2024 for the slaying of Gregory Bagwell, our court records showed. In July, DeKalb County Circuit Court Judge Jonathan Bell denied Sullivan's request for immunity under Alabama's Stand Your Ground self-defense law and set the case for trial, where Sullivan claimed self-defense. Bell declared a mistrial on Tuesday after jurors sent the judge a note indicating they were deadlocked, Fox 54 reported. The judge's order was not yet in online state records Tuesday afternoon. A new murder trial for Sullivan was set for October. Okay. I read a little bit about this incident. You know some about it too.
Right.
Okay.
But first, it was a mistrial. And I've seen everybody on social media saying, oh, I told you he didn't do it. I told you he wasn't going to be guilty. That's not what a mistrial means.
So the judge made this to where it can be tried again.
Right.
Now, if they came back and said not guilty, then it's over.
Right.
But the judge knew better. I know the judge, kind of. All right. And I think he's a quality guy.
Yes, he is.
And if he says we can't have immunity under stand your ground, this is a mistrial, there's something we're missing here, then I trust him. What do you think?
I agree.
I know him. Now, some of the other judges, I wouldn't give them, if they were stranded on the side of the road, I wouldn't stop.
I may, just to laugh at him.
Harass them.
Yeah.
But this guy, I like him a lot. I think he's a good person. So he thinks there's something there probably.
Right.
All right. Now, this guy, this is an incident that went on where one neighbor was going around walking across people's yards and on their property and harassing people, right?
Right. Huge nuisance.
One report said he was shooting into the air.
Yes.
On a separate day, he was shooting into the air for whatever reason.
Yes.
Now, I get it. There's kids around and all that. How many times were the police called? Do you know?
There on that particular day, apparently there was an overabundance of police calls that day.
And they come out, didn't see nothing.
They come out, talk, and then they didn't do anything with the gentleman or the decedent.
Right. And so Mr. Sullivan, the guy came up on his porch for whatever reason, right?
He was standing on the porch, hanging out, having a cigarette.
And Mr. Sullivan came out and said, hey, leave.
And he said, oh, I can't be here. Didn't show any hostility or anything, but he just like, well, whatever. Started walking off.
So there's probably some mental issues exacerbated by drug or alcohol abuse, right?
I would agree. Yeah.
Right. But he started walking off the porch, right?
Yes.
Now the bullet holes, the entrance wounds were where?
In his back.
Okay, so he was walking away.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we don't get a stand your ground.
FBI calls that a clue.
A clue. How many shots were fired, Juice?
7 or 8 shots, or 8 shots, 7 hit him.
Yeah, I think there was 8 shots, 7 impacts.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think our guy was justified in shooting this guy?
Just my opinion? No.
I don't either. I don't think he was justified.
I don't think so.
The guy wasn't trying to break the door down, apparently. Now, we just have what's on the news. We don't have insider information. We're just giving an opinion here under our First Amendment right, correct?
Correct.
All right. But we're just going off what we read in the news. And it appears that the gentleman tried to disengage, the decedent tried to disengage and walked off. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Well, they said he was still on his property.
Well, that's like we said the first part. You can walk across my property all day and I can shout and yell at you.
Yep.
I can't kill you.
Nope.
All right. Can I physically try to remove you?
No. I mean, you can, but at that point, is it really worth it?
That's escalating, right?
Yeah.
For nonsense. I try to disengage.
Yeah. I would rather de-escalate than have to go through court proceedings because I ventilated you.
Or if I try to remove you and we start fighting and I punch you and disable you somehow, knock out an eye, break a nose.
I'm going to sue you.
Yeah. Break a nose.
And then I'm going to have your property.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to let you walk on it.
Break a rib and rib punctures along it. I'm not saying I killed you.
No, but there's a lot of things that great bodily harm or disfigurement.
Right. Now, this went to I read where this went to the grand jury a year ago or so. And the grand jury said there was a crime that took place.
Correct.
That our guy, Mr. Sullivan, did murder this guy. Okay. So a grand jury, I know it's like, you ever been in a grand jury?
Yes.
It's like a kangaroo court.
It is.
The DA, it's not, I can't remember. Is there a judge there? Can't remember. But it's not as formal as a.
No, it's nowhere near as formal.
And the DA can ask you questions, can ask the jurors can ask you questions from the stand, all kind of weird stuff like that.
Right.
It's more of an open format.
Yeah, it's an open forum.
Yeah,
is what it is.
And they're just trying to decide, hey, was there a crime committed? What do y'all think?
Is there enough evidence to say a crime was committed?
It's very similar to a reporter pooling a jury after hearing everything.
Right.
And the DA just happened, or the assistant DA just happens to be the reporter, right?
Right.
But they did say, hey, there was a crime committed here, so that's why it went to trial.
Right.
And so we agree that based off what we've seen in the news, we have no insider information. I'd say this was murder.
Yeah, I don't think it was justifiable.
And our judge friend, Mr. Bell, said the same thing. Because to stand your ground, there's no jury. It's just the judge deciding if you are protected under that section of the law.
I just don't get the whole 8 shots.
Right.
The 8 shots. I've been shot.
Mm-hmm.
You can stop somebody with 1 shot.
Yeah, so if Juice is attacking me, this is how it goes. If Juice is attacking me and I shoot 1 round at him and he goes down and he's no longer a threat, he's neutralized. I have to stop.
Correct.
Now, if I walk up to him and give him the coup de grace or the bullet to the brain,
yep,
that could potentially be perceived as murder.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, if he's coming at me and I put it around at him, he goes down and I'm standing here and he gets his energy back. It's not like on TV, by the way. It takes some time.
Yes.
Say we're waiting on the cops and he decides to start reaching for a gun, then I can give him another one.
Yes.
I can keep giving him until he stops being a threat.
Correct.
Right.
I agree.
That can happen in a matter of seconds or it could happen over time. Right?
Absolutely.
What was the other example we had pulled up here? Who was the kid in Wisconsin?
Oh, what was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name. When he went to the riots.
Yeah, they were hitting him with a skateboard.
Yeah.
Now, that kid was justified, in my opinion, because they were getting ready to beat him across the face with a skateboard. Right. But why was he there in the first place?
Well, he said he was going to render aid.
Okay.
And I would have to argue that who in their right mind, even you and I with our background, I'm not going to just pack up a Unit 1 kit and go running over to a riot.
With my M4.
Yeah.
We had an M16. I think he had the old one.
Yeah, he had the old one.
Right.
So,
but anyways, now if I had a daughter up there in the middle of all that mess and I was going to get her, that's one thing.
yeah.
But, we talked about disengagement. I'm not going to go engage with a bunch of riders. I'm not going to do it.
No, I wouldn't either.
I don't have the energy at the time.
I would have to have a good reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you said, my daughter.
And she's like, hey, I'm here in my apartment. I don't want to drive through all this. I'll be in Wisconsin in a day.
His name is Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse. That's him. You'd think we would prepare before we get on this, turn this recorder and this microphone on, Juice, but it makes it more interesting, in my opinion.
It does. 17 years old.
But he went up to say he was rendering aid. And I don't think he was trained as a paramedic, was he?
Nope.
EMT?
Nope.
Okay. And
he's 17 years old.
He was not even old enough to have the license.
No.
But he said, I'm going to go up here and render aid. And these guys, these rioters, saw him with an M4 and said, we're going to get you. And Rittenhouse got him back.
Have you seen the trial at all?
I didn't see the trial much. I saw the video.
So as they're sitting in court, Rittenhouse's attorney looked at the gentleman he shot that survived and said, so you're telling me that my client shot you after you tried to kill him? Yes. What? I mean, where are you going to go from there?
It should be over, right? Now, how that went down, though, Rittenhouse was being chased by these dudes. They had a skateboard getting ready to hit him in the face with it.
He was doing a tactical retreat.
They had him on the ground.
Yeah.
Getting ready to kill it. If the skateboard hit you just right, it could kill you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he shot him and killed 2, injured 1, I believe, something like that.
Killed 2, injured 1.
And he was justified at that point. I don't think he was justified in being there. That's what I'm getting
Neither
at.
do I.
But yeah, this is America, so you can go ride around wherever you want. All right, we have that freedom. I'm just questioning his
motive
for being there. But
I don't get it. At 17, I wouldn't have jumped in my vehicle and grabbed a rifle and a Unit 1 bag and tried to respond to a riot a couple states over.
At 17, I was probably playing some sport or Nintendo. Remember Nintendo?
Yeah, I remember that. I was probably out drinking somewhere in the woods.
Goofing off?
Yeah, at a party or something.
At a party. Goofing off. I used to go hunting and fishing a lot too when I was young.
So did I.
But yeah, so just to recap a little bit, if you come on my property, I can't just walk out and kill you.
No.
All right. If you try to physically assault my daughter or me, then I can kill you. I can defend myself. How about that?
Correct.
Let's rephrase it. I can neutralize the threat.
Yes.
All right. If you die or not, that's on you.
Yes.
Depending on how good a condition your body's in.
Exactly.
How good a shooter I am. Right. But I can neutralize. Now, neutralize does not mean murder. All right. If I put you down with 2 rounds and you're just laying there wallowing in your blood, but you're not a threat anymore, and I walk up and put a bullet in your head, then a jury could potentially see that as murder.
Correct.
Which is kind of what we got dealing with Mr. Sullivan, I believe.
Correct.
So, all right. What are the thoughts you got, Juice?
If you show up on my property and you get ventilated, I'm not rendering aid for you. You're going to have to do self-aid because I'm not going to help you.
We don't have Army medics or corpsmen that render aid to the enemy.
Yeah. So just remember that if you stumble across my property and do something stupid.
Bring your own tourniquet, right?
Exactly.
All right. All right. That's all we got for this one. We'll be back with another topic in just a bit. Say bye, Juice.